Okay, we are live. Melissa Shea, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's so nice to see you, Ching. It's been ages since we've been able to be together. I really
Mm,
appreciate you inviting me to be on your show. I'm very honored.
Thank you for being with me. Yeah, although we seem like we see each other, on social media, sometimes
It
on
feels like that,
Facebook.
doesn't it? Doesn't it
Yeah,
feel like you see
yeah,
people like
yeah,
all the time, and then when you
yeah,
actually like do see them, you're like, when's the last time I was
yeah.
actually like physically with you?
I
Yeah,
know, I
it's
know.
weird.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but in a way, I do appreciate social media. At least I can see my friends, my colleagues' movement a little bit, right? Rather than and nothing. Some of my friends do not do Facebook nor any of.
Mhm.
So then I ended up I call them once in a while. But anyway, so let me introduce Melissa Shea to our audience. Melissa Shea is CEO of Fashion Mingle, a global network for fashion industry professionals. With over 5,000 members, Fashion Mingle provides local fashion directories in over 200 cities, connecting members to the professionals they need to grow their businesses. Fashion Bingo provides a full suite of marketing services designed to create a strong foundation for businesses, from event production, website development, content marketing, and social media management. They use their global network to extend their customers' reach and set up businesses for long term business. Thank you. Thank you so much. I remember you. Tell us a little bit more about you have done some incredible party for since 2017 for fashion people, crazy people, and I was there too. It was so much fun.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about Fashion Mingo and tell us about these parties and
Okay.
not that then we can't party anymore.
Well,
Yes.
my background was in web development and internet marketing, and I just happened to meet some people in the fashion industry some time ago, and I just, I wasn't at all involved in the fashion industry. I'd always been interested in fashion just as like a consumer, but when I met these people, I was in Austin, Texas. That's where I lived at the time. And Austin, is a very entrepreneur type place. Everybody's always thinking about building a company. It's just part of the ecosystem there. And so I met some people in the fashion industry. I got to talking with them about just how difficult it was to have a successful business. And because I've always had my own clients, my own clients that I worked with on marketing, I naturally just asked them all the same questions. Well, what about this? What about that? And what I learned was that, because they're creatives, they have a real aversion to learning technology, number one. And then number two, they really they don't want to market themselves because they're creatives. They want to be creative. They don't want to spend time on marketing. So I realized that, okay, this is an opportunity because they're not using the same tools that a lot of other industries started using right at the beginning of the internet age. I remember one of the first directories I ever came across on the internet was for lawyers. Like you needed a lawyer, you could find a lawyer in any city. And so this was like, 10 years ago. And I was like, you guys don't even have a fashion directory, and LinkedIn had been invented, but, you know, uh, LinkedIn doesn't really work for the majority of the fashion industry. There's definitely a segment of the fashion industry that uses it more like the corporate level, um, you know, but not just like you're not going to go to LinkedIn to find a seamstress
Hmm.
or like a model or a photographer or something. That's not where you're going to go. And so I realized when I was in Austin that people in Austin didn't even know the different people that were in their own city that were experts in different areas of the fashion industry. And so I thought, well, the first thing is like, you guys need to know who's in this city so that fashion isn't like being done just by word of mouth, And so I worked with a developer and built a little beta version, and just kind of let that run for a while. Then my husband got a transfer to New York, and I decided I wanted to like take this idea and run with it and go nationwide, and then eventually global. And so I started, like, I needed to learn more about the fashion industry. So I started doing interviews with different people in the industry to get, like, really figure out what their pain points were, figure out what their barriers to success were. And of course, and when someone tells me, like, a problem that they have, I can, like, very quickly come up with a technology solution to how to, do whatever that is easier, because I understand how to build these types of tools. And then I just got lucky. I got an investor. Somebody approached me who'd been watching me. I had put together a team to cover New York Fashion Week, and that's where you and I met. I think I first met your cousin Jay. Right. In the press pits at Fashion Week, and that I was there, being a photographer. I learned to do videography. I started doing interviews backstage, and that was just all about learning the industry and creating content. So I met Jay. Jay introduced me to you, and then you actually worked with us several times on several fashion show interviews. And then, so I had been doing that for a while, been publishing content under Fashion Mingle as a way of just like building up a brand name and learning the industry and building a network essentially by covering the people that work in the industry. And so then, like I said, I got noticed by somebody who had been looking to find an individual to invest in. They call that an angel investor. And so he offered me an investment, a small investment. And it took me about a year to take it because, that's a pretty heavy thing, taking an investor. And, there's a lot of legal paperwork and just a lot of stuff you have to do when you take an investor. A lot of things you have to think about. So I didn't want to take an investor until I put together a team that I felt could launch it. And so I took about a year to put together a team and get set up ready for an investor. We had a developer. I had my co-founder, the co-founder I brought on had also worked in startup environments before. Her name is Beth Smith. And so we've been a really good team to just like figure out how to build the platform. It took us about 18 months to get the platform built, to happy enough, built enough to like launch it. And then of course it's constantly being improved. And so we did our launch event and we wanted to make a big splash. So when we got it launched in July of 2017, we launched with the New York Fashion Week networking party in September. And we had no idea how it was going to go, because at that point, we just knew a handful of people in the industry, but it went really well, and we got such great feedback. Then we planned one for February, and so we've done our New York Fashion Week networking party every season of Fashion Week. So we lock in the Sunday night of Fashion Week to have this party, and we had a great partner with Row Hotel, it's Row NYC, and it's right on 8th Avenue and 44th. And they have been an amazing partner with us. And it just breaks my heart that we don't get to do it this year, because we've done it for 5 seasons. And it's a great way to, the whole purpose of the party is to connect people from all over the world who come into town for Fashion Week. And it really was spawned out of like the changes I saw in Fashion Week when I started going. When I started attending, it was at Bryant Park. Then we went to Lincoln Center, and then after Lincoln Center, it's very scattered. It's at Spring Studios officially, but it's still fairly scattered. And when it was in Lincoln Park, that was the heyday. That was when there was all kinds of space. There was seating. There was a cafe. Everybody could, like, you never knew who you were going to run into. And you could just meet people and network. And it was just an amazing experience. And then they just shut that down. So there was a lot of reasons it got shut down. But then when it went to the new version of being held at Spring Studios and in various places around New York City, there wasn't any of the same networking opportunities or feeling. It just didn't work. And so that's why I wanted to create the party, because I wanted because people come in from all over the world and they come in to work, and so I wanted to provide a place where they could meet, expand their network. And also we ended up starting speed networking, which is like, speed dating, but we would pick a group of people that we think you should know in the fashion industry. And then you would do speed networking sessions where you get to talk to each person. And so the party worked on 2 levels. There was the cocktail traditional party that people who love to go to parties can attend. And then was the speed networking for the introverts who need, like an invitation, they don't feel
like
comfortable.
you have to say something to someone so close to you. I went there to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little benches, you sit
speed
each.
networking when you attended.
I went to I was actually, I didn't sit there, but I was filming them, and I meet some people off the speed dating, but I didn't sit down. But it's a great idea. It's like such a small space. You make people sit together, and they just kind of move, next to each other. It goes one direction.
Yeah. It was. We've had really good. We've had so many cute interviews with people. Like one of my favorite ones was this young man who said, "I came in here not knowing what I was doing or nothing, and then now I actually have a plan for my life." And I just loved that opportunity to meet some people and network gave a young person just the ability to feel like I can see the direction for my life now. And so that's, and then too, we have the glam part of it. We have we have a red carpet. We've got a Getty photographer, so everybody gets their Getty photo. So it's just a really fun event, and now it's over.
Oh gosh.
So we don't know what's going to happen. But we are actually doing something during Fashion Week, which everybody's, it's kind of slow to get going for everybody, unsure of what's going to be open and what's going to be allowed. But we have got the official approval from the Manhattan Borough President and from the Times Square Alliance. And we're doing basically we're going to do a show in Times Square with social distancing part of it. And we're one of our partners has the ability to put things into the digital streaming, like Hulu and Netflix and all that. And they do everything in digital media, and so they can put things on the Times Square billboards.
Mm,
And then also they have access to a 360 camera that shoots,
mm,
constantly. And so
mm,
we're going to be doing mini fashion shows, one
mm,
at a time in Times
mm,
Square. So the designer would come and have a small collection, like a capsule collection. So just
mm,
a couple of models. We would provide you with hair and makeup and a photographer and a videographer. And
mm,
you would get to do a live photo shoot in
mm,
Times Square. So your
mm,
photos would actually, have Times Square in the
mm,
background. And since Times
mm.
Square is fairly empty, it's a great time to get photos because you don't have all the
Yeah.
madness of Times Square. You actually would get great photos for a change.
Right, right, right. Every time I go, right, either it's empty right now. I've been going like I don't know, probably 5, 6, 7 times
Oh,
since
wow.
lockdown. Yeah, and every
Yeah.
time I go, I take pictures. Sometimes you'll see a person is dancing with a photographer,
Uh,
shooting her. Sometimes someone is doing some kind of a play, like with, you see a little bit of something, sometimes one person just shooting themselves, dancing or singing. uh yeah, so the point, like you said, it's empty right now.
it's
It's so
the perfect
nice.
time to film.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
absolutely is.
it's
So,
nice.
we'll be filming a live photo shoot that
Mm,
which is something you actually see at New York Fashion Week. It's not uncommon
mm,
for a designer to hold a presentation where you can see
mm,
the models and then also have a live photo shoot at the same time. So like audiences really love watching those live
yeah,
photo shoots.
yeah.
And then so they'll have like a small presentation for the
Mm,
models. And then we're also having a ceremony with the Manhattan
mm,
Borough president, and
yeah.
it's going to be at 4 o'clock. Well, it's the public's not invited. So
when are you thinking about that? When?
oh, it's going to be September 8th.
Oh, okay. do
Yeah,
do
so
you need a permission to do that, or you just go there?
yeah, we have all the permission.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
supported by the Manhattan Borough President and
yeah.
the Times Square Alliance.
So tell me a little about about this COVID thing. How does a model, a photographer, or a fashion writer, or anybody has to do with the fashion industry, how do they survive? Do you have any firsthand stories?
It's going to be tough. I mean, everybody's having to rethink the way they do business. Like just as an example, Del Noel of True Model Management is a Fashion Mingle member, and so they have a modeling agency in New York City, and how are they going to book their models? How are they going to make money? And so what they immediately started doing was figuring out, okay, which models have the technical expertise and can do their own hair and makeup, can actually, you can ship them product and the model dresses themselves, does their own hair and makeup, and sets up their own photo shoot. They do it all themselves. And,
Wow.
it actually was going really well. I mean,
Wow.
uh, you the thing is people, if you're creative in one way, you can be creative in lots of different ways.
Right.
So people, especially models, have a lot of different skill sets because it's
Hmm.
very hard to make a living as a model.
Right.
So you've
Right.
got all these different side hustles anyway.
Right.
And technology, it's so easy to order what you need off of
Mm,
Amazon. You can get any kind of very simple and shockingly inexpensive
mm,
equipment for a photo
mm.
shoot. You get super
Right.
screens,
Mm,
lighting, all of it's not that expensive. And
mm,
so they did a really good job of getting that program going because companies still need the content shot because
mm,
they're selling online mostly anyway, so they still
mm,
need those campaigns. Then
mm,
another member, Claire Perez of New York Makeup Academy, all of their classes were in person in Manhattan. And so
mm,
that was immediately shut down. So,
mm,
how is she going to keep her instructors employed? How are they
Mm,
going to still bring money in? Well, what they
mm,
got to do was something that they'd always wanted to do but never taken the time. They wanted to open the New York Makeup Academy up to global um, customers, global students. And so they immediately started offering classes on Zoom. And
mm,
they just did a fabulous job, because now these people who'd always wanted to use their services could actually use their services from anywhere in the world. And
mm,
now they have just reopened their campus in New York, in Manhattan, to do in-person classes as well. But they were able to create a completely new part of their business because of this COVID situation.
mm, mm,
And I think things like
mm,
photographers
mhm,
and stuff, and I mean,
mhm,
as a videographer,
mhm,
you
mhm,
don't have to be close to people
mhm.
to do that. I mean, in fact,
Right.
you need to be more than 6 feet apart, you know? So it's not that hard to actually continue a business as a photographer or a videographer. We just have to get through this part of where nobody feels like doing business.
Mhm,
It's like, because you got to get to the part where people are like, okay, how am I going to change my business
mm,
um, to make money? And then you, of course, need to hire the photographer and the videographer to do the different parts of your business. So, I think we're still going through transition, and as people just come to accept that this is
mhm,
not going away easily, it's not a hoax. Um,
mhm.
it's not just going to disappear. We really have to learn how to run our businesses and have
Disappear.
an economy uh,
Yeah,
with the social distancing and the
yeah,
virtual the technology, making
yeah,
it happen. So I think we
yeah,
just have to accept this and just start moving forward.
yeah. Now, tell me a little bit about you. You're one of the few women friend or colleagues I really respect,
Oh,
that you're entrepreneur, you have great leadership and great management skill. You make things happen from nothing, so do you always like that, like what is your background like, uh, are you always fashionable, like are you always knowing all the fashion stuff, or you're just always you are just always a person make things happen?
well, I would definitely say that I am not a person that knows everything about fashion. Like, I'll be talking to friends or people I work with in the fashion industry, and they'll be talking on about this model, that model. I don't know hardly any of the models. I barely know, the names of the luxury brands, and mostly because, like, maybe I've shot them at Fashion Week. I don't read the, you know, WWD or Business of Fashion, because I don't have time, but because I'm not in the corporate world of the fashion industry. That's the whole thing. I'm in the independent fashion industry. So I've always been, entrepreneurial. There was something as a kid. I had several businesses, that silly stuff that I would make money at. And then when I when I became an adult, my uncle was a photographer, so he taught me photography. And so I shot weddings and did headshots and stuff like that, just self-taught. Um, and, I just had always done things in the entrepreneurial area. Um, and then, of course, because I, lived a good portion of my adult life in Austin, surrounded by entrepreneurs and surrounded by companies that were always coming up with the next new thing. I mean, honestly, my adult life, I was in Silicon Valley, and then my husband got transferred to Austin. So, like, the two places for entrepreneurship in this country, the two hottest spots are Silicon Valley and Austin. So, my whole adult life was spent in those two cities. And then, of course, coming to New York, what you see about New York is, when people ask me, like, why do you like New York, or why would you want to live in New York? I'm like, because this is where the opportunity is. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just, there's no other place in the world like New York for opportunity, you know?
That's
So,
true.
so I've just been really, really lucky to kind of, because of my husband's job, he's in the semiconductor industry. It's put us in, it started us out in Silicon Valley. So, I worked for high tech companies in Silicon Valley when I was in my 20s. Then moved to Austin, was very much into the small tech companies, and, coming up with the next new thing. And then coming to New York, where you're exposed to, the global economy and opportunities from everybody everywhere in the world. And then we've also done a lot of traveling with my husband's company, so I've been exposed to just other countries a lot. And so that's, you know one thing that I can appreciate is how every country is unique. And so as a platform that's creating a global membership, that's something that I'm aware of, is that, we can expand this globally, but there's going to be different needs and different things we have to consider based on country.
Yeah, wonderful. So, speaking of Austin, speaking of Texas, the COVID is doing worse there.
Mhm.
Any news from Texas?
Well, my girls are um, smarter than the average Texan. And so they are doing a good job at, you know, staying COVID free. Although I do have to say that I think that most of us, we actually think that my husband and I actually think we got it in December, and my daughter Brandy got it in early December. We were actually, my husband actually came home from work 2 days before we were to fly to Austin for Christmas. And he said, I just want to let you know, one of my coworkers just came back from China with a really weird virus. She's really sick, and so I may get sick. And this was on Wednesday. By Monday, he was running like 104 temperature.
Oh,
Yeah. And I mean, it was scary. But at the time, you know, nobody knew anything about COVID. And
yeah.
so he suffered through it. I got it, but it was more like, just like a mild version. And then we came back home to New York. And then in a couple of weeks, after that, my daughter and my granddaughter had it. But it was just like, it just hung on forever for them. It was, it wasn't anything serious.
Mm.
And then my other daughter, Brandy, who was living in Dallas at the time, she had actually gotten something early December, before we even got to Austin, and she was sick for like 3 weeks. So
Mm.
there's a possibility she got an early version of it as well. But my husband, after the virus became well known in January, he looked up this coworker on LinkedIn, and she was from Wuhan. So that's when we made the connection.
Oh my, oh my God.
Yeah, so that was the bad
Wow.
luck. But
So, so you are immune right now.
we have no idea, and I don't even trust that, because from what I've read, they have no idea if immunity lasts, how long it lasts. Um,
Mm.
so I haven't done the antibody testing yet. We might at some point.
Mm.
I might do it before we go in for the Times Square event
Mm.
that we're having. But because from what I've read, um, they're not seeing evidence yet that there's any good immunity to it.
I
So
see.
so I think we'll just have to see. But then also the antibody tests. I know that our FDA approved a whole bunch of tests that were basically junk. So
Mm.
I'm not eager to waste my money on trying to test that I don't know
Yeah.
going to return a good result. So I'll just wait a little bit longer and maybe do something toward the end of August. Get
Yeah.
a antibody test that, maybe by then the test will be more reliable.
Yeah, so United States seems not doing well. Every day I look at news, listen to news, watch news, and it's like what happened was just like just even last week the cases were gone so much higher. Um, New
I think
York
it's
is
frustrating.
in control though. New York is better.
Well, I mean, New York, showed everybody how to handle this. We suffered through the worst of it and learned all the hard lessons for the rest of the United States to see. And basically, the rest of the United States decided to ignore what happened. As someone who's grown up my entire life somewhere other than New York, I know that people in other parts of the country think, they treat New York like that's like some other place that has nothing to do with me.
Mm,
Um, we have nothing in common. But as Governor Cuomo constantly says, this virus doesn't care where you live. It doesn't care what political party you are.
mm,
It's going to be the same no matter what. And
mm,
all of these states like Texas and Florida and Arizona. I mean, I have family in Arizona. I have family in Texas. It's really frustrating that so many people died, and we could learn so many lessons from it. And then our government and these states just don't even want to try.
mhm. Yeah, I know. So, tell me a little bit, tell us a little bit about how do one become a member of your organization,
Well,
Fashion Mingle?
yep, you can go to fashionmingle.com, and you can sign up for a free profile, as an individual. And then if you want to be listed in the fashion directory, it's $59 a year. We also have a VIP program if you want to uh, be included in things like our webinars and different events that we're having. We always give our VIP members, first chance at those kinds of opportunities.
And so, as you launched in 2017,
We did.
uh, it's only 3 years. So, how many members you have now?
I think we're up to just over 5,500 right now.
Wonderful. So once someone become a member, what do they do? Like, what does the profile, what does the website
So
do
what?
for
Yeah,
them?
what can you do? Well,
Mhm.
so there's a couple of basically the fashion director profile. What's great about it is it puts everything about your business in one place. So you can get to it has like a brief little bio. We've got an I'm looking for field where you can post what kind of business you're looking for, or what kind of professionals you need, whether like say you need a seamstress, you need a photographer. You can post your social media accounts so people can find them all in one place. And you can put your skills, so when somebody is coming to the site and say they want to look for, say, an apparel designer that specializes in denim, you can put those keywords in and people come up. So it's, a lot of people in the fashion industry, they have a really hard time with even getting their website found, because, there's a lot that goes into building a website, keeping it updated enough so that it can index on Google. And so the value of a directory is that a directory has a lot of, you know, Google juice because it has so many listings. So there's a value just being in that way, to be found that way. And then we have, you can put a photo gallery, web gallery. You can also chat. You can send messages to members of the directory so that you can reach out to people you want to be interested in. You can follow different people, that you want to contact. So it's basically, what it's most commonly referred to as LinkedIn for the fashion industry.
So what kind of people go there to look for people? Are they people not members, or do they people look for you? They are also must be a member.
No, it's both. So the directory is open to the public, so anybody can see it. And so you can, if you're searching for a particular thing, you can even search for a videographer. You can search for people in a particular city. One of the things about people in the fashion industry is they tend to work in a lot of different cities, and often they live in multiple cities and work in multiple cities. So you say you're based in Miami, but you also go out to LA a lot, or you go to New York a lot. This is a way for you, like, okay, well, I'm going to be in LA, and I need to get, I need to find a manufacturer. So you can go to the Fashion Mingle directory, and you can look for manufacturers that you can visit when you're out in LA, even though you live in another city. Or say you're going to go to Fashion Week in New York City, and while you're there, you want to do some research, or you want to check out showrooms or things like that. So it's basically just a way for you to easily find other people in other cities that you can do business with.
Thank you. I just need to clear my throat. Excuse me. So yeah, so tell me a little bit about um now you know so many artists, like photographer or people who are behind the screen, or people in the front, which is models, or so. If hypothetically you have a choice to be one, all right, other than you're not organizing it, what would you like to be other than organize it?
Okay, so if I could be anybody who's in my fashion directory,
Yes.
it would probably be a photographer. Yeah, I mean, that's what I did when I first got into it. Just because, it's the creative process. You get the best seat in the house. I mean, I've sat on the front row at Fashion Week, and I've been in the risers of Fashion Week, and I can tell you the best seat in the house is the risers. I would much rather be on the risers than be on the front row. So, that it's a special thing to be able to do, and then it's so fun to go backstage and just observe all the chaos of Fashion Week. It's
Yeah,
exhausting. I mean, it's super exhausting.
it is.
I've had some pretty exhausting situations, but I would say that I know that it's tough for photographers and videographers to make a living no matter what time of the even when it's not COVID, it's a tough career to have, because you constantly got to be hustling to get work, and there's a lot of competition for it. So
Mm.
I guess I would say, if I was going to choose a position where I could actually make a living, it would
Mm.
probably not be a photographer. Um, but
Yeah.
it's tough. But
Hmm.
you know, there's a
Yeah.
I'm definitely, I mean, I would say I'm definitely not, not trained to be a designer or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that wouldn't work for me. And I definitely
So
don't want to be a model. I like to be
no,
behind the scenes more than in front
why
of the
not?
scene.
Um, so now tell us a little bit about your weekly Friday um, webinar.
Okay, so we started Mingle Mastermind sessions in right about a week after shutdown. And what we wanted to do, and it was something that we'd always talked about doing, but never had the time to do. I mean, in March, I was planning events in New York City for May, and so was very busy, starting that process. And then, of course, that just immediately shuts down. And so then we have the ability to take a break, which was attractive. But we realized the opportunity to really start this new part of our business that we've always wanted, which was to do the online education. And we have done in-person events called Mingle Mentor Sessions, and the networking session at the parties was very much a part of that mentoring that we were wanting to do. So we started the mastermind sessions with a group of women that we do events with a lot in New York City, and it started out being, what are we doing to pivot our business during this time, as a way to give encouragement to our members, to help them, think outside the box. How are they going to pivot their business? And then it got into bringing in experts in various subjects so that we could talk more in depth. And as we kind of all, came to the realization that this is going to be going on for a long time, and we all better just get used to it and get our marketing figured out, we just started really expanding to lots of different topics. And so every Friday we have a topic, and we have on, one or two experts in the area. We bring on different members who, we think would benefit from the conversation and have questions. And then we have a couple of regular panelists that come in and out. And so you can watch all of those on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Fashion Mingle. We've got a playlist. They're all on our Facebook, which is, you can find us anywhere on any platform with just Fashion Mingle, at Fashion Mingle. And so you can watch any of those videos there. And then we also convert the content to blog articles. So you can go to fashionmingle.com and find, written content as well as the videos. We started once the Black Lives Matters protest started. We, were very affected about that, because many of people that we work with in the fashion industry, the fashion industry it feels diverse. It feels like a very accepting place. But the truth of the matter is there's racism and bigotry in fashion, just like there is in other industries. And we saw that, everybody was ready to listen for a change. I think it really, really helped with the protests, that the protests were very multicultural. And it was a clear signal that everyone's fed up. We know it's a difficult conversation. We know it's a hard conversation for white people and Black people to have. It's a difficult conversation for people Latino, Asian to feel a part of the conversation, because of course they're discriminated against, but not as much as Black people. So it's just full of all kinds of awkwardness and uncomfortable conversations, And so I have a group of, Black friends that I feel very, that I just really love so much. And they're all through the fashion industry. They weren't friends in my personal life. They're all just people that I've met through the fashion industry that I just really care about, and very, upset to think about how upset they are with the discrimination they have to face in their daily lives, but also just how the protests and the terrible videos of, people being shot and chased and killed just because of the color of their skin. I can't imagine how horrifying that is, to walk around every day and know that you could be attacked simply because of the color of your skin. And I know the same thing happens to Asians as well, especially during the COVID crisis. There's been a lot of problems with that. So we felt like Fashion Mingle was ideally suited platform to open this discussion and have it long term, because we are a membership organization. We have the social media platforms, we have the blog, we have the technical expertise to be able to pull off these webinars. We've got the team that can pull it off. So I reached out to basically, my friends and my fashion and beauty friends that were had a clearly strong feeling about the protests, and that they were protesting, using their social media platforms to protest. And so I asked them if they'd be on this panel, and they all said yes. And so we had the first panel on Friday. It was, our panels are usually just 1 hour. It went 2 hours. And before it was ever finished, they were asking to have a second session. And so we are having the second session on August 7th. And we actually had 5 topics that we wanted to go through, and we only got through the first 3. And so the last 2 were about the importance of having a diverse marketing team, so that you can avoid some of the problems companies have had with producing products that are racist. But then also just how you can increase your market share just by, marketing to all the different diverse people in the world who really would be happy to buy your product if you actually marketed to them, you know? So we're going to have the same panel back to discuss those issues. And then we're going to start the first Friday of every month. Is the webinar is going to be devoted to a diversity topic, and we're going to start bringing on experts in different areas of diversity, or diversity issues. And and then we'll just continue. And we're also opening up the blog for essays. So if people want to write about their experiences or their ideas, we ask them to send us the article, and we will post it on the blog. And we've got a couple already posted.
That's great. Yeah, I really enjoyed last Friday your webinar, and quite many dynamic models or businessmen and women, and very very nice presentation. Very nice
Thank you.
presentation. Yeah. So now we are almost up to an hour. So do you have anything else you thought about you want to cover? I always ask my guests uh,
Hmm.
in case I miss anything.
Let's see. Well, let's see. We talked about the Times Square event, right? Talked
Yeah.
about the webinars. We talked about how to join the platform. I guess the only other things that we have coming up, we are launching Student Mingle, which
Mm.
is going to be a part of the platform for students that want to go into the fashion industry, whether it's on the marketing side, business side, or the development side, to be able to connect with each other. And so the first step is to get them all connected in their schools, so that they can network with each other. And then we will then our members will be able to use that as a source for interns. We use a lot of interns, and so we are kind of like a training ground for interns in the fashion industry. We can teach them a lot of good business and marketing skills. And so the interns that work for Fashion Mingle will actually be promoted to our membership as someone you considers for internship, or even to hire for an entry-level position. We think that we've been wanting to launch this for a long time, but we think now is just the perfect time to launch it, because so many companies had to furlough or lay off their employees, and many of the smaller companies will be looking to hire people at a low cost to do some of their basic work that'll just help the business owner focus on the big picture stuff. As you can get someone to help you with your social media, or your spreadsheet work, different things like that. So basically we're using it as a way to just help interns start getting a job, because it's going to be incredibly difficult for students to actually transition into the workforce. So we have some big plans for where that will go in the future, but that's the first goal. And then we also have we have a new spin-off we're doing called Wellness Mingle. And that's going to start out as just a Facebook group because what we realized because of COVID is that a lot of our members, like models, for instance, they have to have side hustles and they have different interests. And so like you can be a model, but you might also be a yoga instructor, or you might be, like a nutrition consultant, or perhaps you're a makeup artist that's created a line of cosmetics or, healthy, beauty products or whatever. So we wanted to provide a platform for them to be able to promote their products and services. So we're going to be launching that in the next couple of weeks.
Great. So before we move on to rapid fire, I just wanted to thank whoever is watching us right now or watching us in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. I am Ching Juhl. I've been doing this live talk show since the end of the March. So today, this is episode number 36. So every Monday, Wednesday at 4 p.m. New York time, Eastern time, I talk to my friend, I talk to my family, I talk to people I admire, I talk to people I don't know, I talk to people I just met, I talk to all kinds of people, and I think it's a way of, because the COVID-19, part of it is really is a COVID-19. I couldn't see my friend and family, so I start to make schedules to talk to people. Yeah. And then it leads into something else, and more educational, more promotional, more, friends sort of just catching up with each other. And so all kinds of directions. It's been really wonderful. And it gives me opportunity to study my guests, to get to know them a little bit better than before. Yeah. And please subscribe my YouTube channel, and please look at Melissa Shea's fashionmingle.net, right?
Yeah, you can get there .net or .com, either one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
Ching
do you do other? Yeah.
Is a wonderful videographer, and I've just loved. We've always had so much fun when we've done New York Fashion Week together, and I really appreciate all the time that you've given Fashion Mingle and shared your talents. It's always been fun. I love knowing you, and love hearing about your son and everything that he was doing prior to COVID, unfortunately. But I like seeing on your Facebook that you've taught him to cook. So that's a COVID silver lining, to be able to teach your children some survival skills.
Thank you. He's too picky, He doesn't like my cooking.
Well, that's fine to have him. I mean, hey, I wouldn't care if my kids were like, I don't like your cooking, I'm going to cook instead. I'd be like, have at
it. Yeah, it's a skill. Good. Yeah, it's a skill for many uses. Thank you, Melissa, for all these years, and always, like I said earlier, you're my one of my inspirational lady friend and lady entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Who's very very smart and always make things happen. So should we do a rapid fire?
Let's try this.
Okay, let's try it. Yeah, I don't have a script. I've done enough. Yeah. Okay. Favorite color?
Purple.
When you go to a Chinese restaurant, spicy or not spicy?
Spicy.
We went to eat this place. It's really awesome, huh?
That was so good. That place that you took us to.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
That's one of my favorite memories of fashion.
Yeah. So, it's almost happy hour. If I were to take you to a happy hour bar, what would you order?
An espresso martini. I like coffee morning, noon, and night. And espresso martinis are so good.
Really? I
Oh,
never
I
knew
love
that.
them. But
Oh,
I
really?
mean, my favorite one is the one that they make at Row NYC at the
Yeah,
bar. I
yeah,
absolutely love it.
mm,
And so it's very hard to match
mm,
that one. We
uh,
do have a mingle martini
yeah,
that we have at our party.
yeah.
We are starting a happy hour webinar in a couple of weeks on Fashion Mingle, and we are going to attempt to make the mingle martini.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so
Mingo
yeah,
Martin.
so if I were ordering out, nobody would know how to make the mingle martini at a bar,
Uh,
but
uh.
usually everybody knows how to make an espresso martini.
Okay, I should try next time. Okay, so if pretending you're a musical instrument, which musical instrument you want to be and why?
Um, I think a violin because you can also call it a fiddle. I think that's cool. That it's the exact same instrument. But if you're fancy, it's a violin. If
Ah,
you're not
that's
fancy,
good.
it's a fiddle.
That's great.
It's kind
That's
of
great.
like an example of me.
Yeah.
When I'm at home working, like I always am, I'm like a fiddle. But when I go
Mm-hmm.
into New York City,
Mm.
I have to be a violin.
Yeah. Two different level, different class. Yeah, you can be more a lesser class. Okay, so let's see what else. How about countries you have visited, you really love, you want to go back?
Oh my gosh. Well, my husband and I watch House Hunters International every Saturday and Sunday morning because all we do is dream about going back to Europe. That's all we do. That's our whole life. We just dream about going back to Europe. My We've been fortunate with my husband's job to get to go to Europe several times. One time we even got to live in Dresden, Germany for almost a year. My favorite places, what we absolutely adore Amsterdam. We love when we vacation there. We stay on a houseboat, which is our favorite thing in the world. We rent bikes and we bike around Holland, like 25 miles a day. We go see all the tourist sites on a bike. And so we love Holland and really the Netherlands as a whole because it's so bike friendly. You can go anywhere on a bike. You can get a train and take it anywhere. You put your bike on the train. Um, and that's just our favorite thing to do ever is, I mean, where we live in upstate New York. We have, bike trails that, we really love up here. So that's our favorite thing. And I mean, I have a very deep love for Dresden, Germany, because we did live there. We've been there three times. One time we were there for like 3 months, and then we went on vacation, and then we were there for almost a year. And Dresden, I've been to lots of cities in Europe. I've been to all the major cities in Europe. And Dresden literally has the most beautiful skyline of any city in Europe, in my opinion. And it's had a very, very difficult history, and I think that's one thing that makes it so fascinating to me. And it's just one of the most amazing art capitals of the world. The museums there, top class. So that I really love Germany a lot.
Wow, that was a long answer, but I
Sorry,
love it.
I have a
I
lot to
love it.
say about
I
traveling.
love it. You know what? You know what? Out of all the cities in Europe, Amsterdam was my number one.
Yes,
I just
yes.
love it. Yeah, I love it. It's like a small version of New York City, a
Yeah,
little bit,
it's very, very
right?
crowded. So we always stay on the outside of it
Yeah,
because we don't really, it's not easy to bike.
yeah,
Very,
yeah.
it's very crowded.
And
But
then I think a part of the reason is because marijuana is legal there, and it seems like everybody's so much more relaxed. Like maybe
Absolutely.
people know they can, go do that thing in coffee shop. So there's no guilt. There's no, and people know they can go to the red light district, to enjoy women, whatever. I don't know. There's something about the sin, one sin is that you can do all the sins you want to, and then people actually don't do it anymore.
That's right. I mean, it's people are very nice. It's very
Uh,
pleasant. People are
yeah,
just really, really nice
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I really
Just
like the people a lot.
they look like very relaxed, like
Yeah.
people are just very relaxed. And anyhow, all right. So one more question. Uh, uh I'm sorry. I'm in a room. It's not my room, so I see something funny. That's why I'm staring at it. Yeah. The I see the the what do you call the dust
Oh,
created
cobweb.
the thing. Yeah, the web. The web's right there. So anyway, all right. Last question. If you had a choice of having dinner with three-person, dead or alive, who would those people are? That's a deep
Well,
one. That's a deep one.
I really I just saw Hamilton on the Disney uh,
Me too.
show, so I think it would be really lovely to have dinner with Lin Manuel Miranda, the actual you know main characters of it.
Mm,
I think would be like maybe have Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson
mm,
with Manuel
mm,
Miranda,
mm,
three people, one dinner, and ask them what they think about his play. Now, whenever I got the book that after I watched the show on Disney, I actually got the audio book that inspired the show, written by Ron Chernow, and so I've been listening to that on audio. But now Alexander Hamilton in my head looks like Lin Manuel Miranda, not the white guy that he actually is. So that whole thing confused me. So now when I think about these people, I think of what they look like in the play, and that they're actually just a bunch of
Yeah.
white guys.
Yeah, they're all mixed up. They're all mixed
Yeah.
up. Oh, by the way, before we go, I have to ask you, I didn't have a lengthy discussion with you about the Yan movement. Do you have anything to say about Andrew Yan?
Well, I loved him. I do 100% support the minimum basic income. Let's see, what do they call it?
UBI, Universal Basic Income.
Basic income.
Yeah.
Because being as someone from the tech industry, I was one of the, I was following that story right from the beginning when the tech industry was coming out and saying we're on our way to a big problem
Mm,
and we need to come up with a solution. And so I follow all the stories that I read online about the different mayors and the different countries that are testing it.
mhm,
Um, I think I mean, if we're not going to force um, the wealthy to pay the taxes that they really should be paying, if we're not going to force corporations to pay the taxes they really should be paying, or pay their workers what it actually costs to have a decent life, we're going to have to come up with another plan because,
mm,
you know, we can, it's ridiculous that companies that are making billions in profit have workers that make minimum wage.
mhm,
And I don't care whether you're working the drive-through at McDonald's or you're a teller at a bank. If you work 40 hours a week, you should make enough money to support your family
mhm,
with one job. And I know that's going to raise prices, but you know what? I don't care because I don't want to buy things for a cheap price while other people are suffering to provide that convenience for me. I mean, our society, just, luckily, I think, the 2008 recession and then this COVID situation, is always a time to like kind of wake up and, check your overconsumption, your convenience lifestyle, and maybe start thinking about somebody other than yourself for a change.
Yeah, well said. Well said. So we'll see what happens because Jeff, what's his name? The uh, Twitter CEO. Yeah,
Oh no, Jeff
yeah.
Dorsey, Jack
Well,
Dorsey.
yeah, he gave NGN's organization forward, Humanity Forward, 5 million last month, and now just gave somebody else another couple of $1 million, to
Yeah, that's what they
towards
need
that.
to
He's
do.
yeah,
I mean, it
he's
needs to be like $10 million. It needs to be $20 million.
yeah, yeah,
We've got these tech, people and people on Wall Street just making
mm,
billions of dollars doing absolutely nothing.
mm,
Maybe they built a great career or they helped build a big company, but the money just keeps making money without
mm,
any effort,
mm,
and that's not right.
mm,
The people who are actually working hard every day, all these essential workers that we have, it's just wrong to, like I've seen lots of things on Facebook about like, if I'm so essential, why can't you pay me a decent wage?
mm, mm,
We're
yeah,
expecting these people to go out there and risk their life, to be
mm,
on the front lines to just give us the conveniences that we need,
yeah,
um, and but yet we don't want to pay them a living wage.
right, right.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about it.
Thank you. Well, Melissa, thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you soon, and maybe I'll stop by on your Times Square situation if you
Yeah,
let me.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
So
keep in
yeah,
touch, and hopefully there'll be
yeah,
some things happening where we'll get together
yeah,
before long.
yeah. I'll have a martini,
Absolutely,
espresso
we'll go find us a
martini.
good place. I'll see if I can get us into the bar at Row.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. So thank you
Thanks. It was great
for
seeing
being
you.
with
Thanks
me,
for
and
having
thank
me.
you guys for watching. And until next time,
Bye bye.
bye. Bye bye. We just click the